Yes, you have information about that Azerbaijan in the war condition with Armenia, and that's why it's difficult for media to cover some issues about military issues, about military secret. I want to get information how in America journalists could cover military issues, how can they could be independent from military secret. And what's
okay? Well, yes. let me say here, like my experience with covering military and installations. I know that's one that is determined overall by court decisions, and there's some famous court decisions in the United States, like Neer versus Minnesota, that says journalists have to do their role as watchdog over government, watchdog over corporations. And at the same time, they have to balance national security interests. And the way that they balance national security interests is by not giving out information that will potentially endanger someone when there's a clear and present imminent danger to people. Things like the press never says when troops are leaving for battle. The troops never say, the press, excuse me, never says where troops are going into battle. Never. That is never done, because that would compromise the security of military forces. There are very clear guidelines that are set by landmark decisions of the U.S. Supreme Court that journalists do not cross. Now, that having been said, it is very important for journalists to follow the tenets of the Society of Professional Journalists Code of Ethics. 1, seek the truth and report it courageously. 2, act independently. 3, minimize harm. 4, be accountable. These are what we teach in journalism, in Western journalism in the United States. This is what I taught through the Caucus School of Journalism and Media Management and the JEPA umbrella. That code of ethics says we seek the truth and report it courageously. We act independent of government, of everybody else. We minimize harm. When you tell the truth, people are going to feel bad. People are potentially going to be hurt, but you have to tell the truth and weigh that against minimizing harm. And you also have to be accountable for what you do. Those are essential tenets of the Code of Ethics of the Society of Professional Journalists, and I feel very, very strongly about this. So, when you bring up the issue of covering the military, it is a difficult and delicate one that's changed over the years. During the Vietnam years, we saw journalists able to go into the field and be in the battlefront, be with the soldiers, to shed their blood as they were trying to report and seek the truth. That has evolved to a point where journalists have become embedded partners with the military, where they're only allowed into the field, if the military allows them onto a vehicle or with a senior officer, so they can only be there with the troops, in a sense, partnered in a sense with the protection of the troops there. They're not to pick up guns, they're not to fight, and of course that would only happen if they were in imminent danger of dying themselves, if they were at gunpoint and about to be shot to defend themselves. So it's a difficult thing all across the world, but it is important because unless we seek the truth, we do not know. We cannot be fully informed, we cannot make full decisions. And I feel very strongly about that because I have members of my family who serve in the military, because we have proud traditions of openness and independence in the United States, because it's an important thing to recognize what the wages of war are and what happens during wartime. And so I look at that and I look at all the circumstances surrounding that, and I say it's a difficult position to be a journalist, but it's a privilege to be a storyteller, because the general public can't go out there in the battlefield. The general public cannot find out what's going to happen to them, right? They don't. Neither do the military want the public out there, nor does the public want to be out there in harm's way. So I look at these circumstances and I say this is a difficult thing to weigh into balance, but it's a battle for the truth that is worth fighting for. So all those things combined mean that there has to be open communications between senior members of military, senior members of press. There has to be reporting on what is the role of the military, what is the role of the press, what are the goals and the objectives when people are asked to be sacrificed. That is essential, and the public needs to know that through the press, through the Fourth Estate. And if we do not know that, then tremendous harm can be done for all sides, for all people involved, everybody. The legacy of war is long, deep, profound, and difficult. And we can do better than that. And I believe we can do better than that. I don't believe that we're hardwired to fight in every engagement and every encounter with the people that we disagree with.
I want to ask one thing, that since 2010, USA media increased their attention to situation in Azerbaijan. There are a lot of articles about corruption fact in Azerbaijan, about democracy problem. What's the matter? Why US media increase their attention, and why? What's the aim? These articles, because our government officials said that their attention, their work is not native, is not good, because they depend on something other powers and.
Okay, let me understand the question.
Yes.
You're saying since 2010 there's been more U.S. media attention on
Azerbaijan democracy, Azerbaijan situation in Azerbaijan, about corruption facts.
Okay.
Related to these high-level officials.
Okay.
And yes.
I think Arab Spring has brought a level of attention to the entire region. I think because of the strong geopolitical interest of oil and the wealth of oil and energy interests, the greater global understanding of environmental degradation and climate change, because of profound and deep investments in oil and energy across the world and the geopolitics connected with such, I think the United States is naturally going to want to know and tie together national security with energy and with the distribution of energy and all the cascading industries and manufacturers that go along with it. I'm not an expert on Azerbaijan and Georgia and the Soviet Union and the USSR and all that, but I know there's been strong links to the Middle East and the United States, obviously. And with the advent of Arab Spring, when you look at Tunisia, Egypt, Syria, when you look at all the factors that go into that, I think the United States would naturally want to know about the security of oil and petroleum and gas and energy needs, and would want to partner with anyone who wants to distribute that in a fair and equitable way across international borders.
What do you think? What's the first for USA? Democracy or oil?
Great question. That's a great question.
Yes.
You're good, Jasur. Democracy. You cannot hold a nation together which is diverse and as profoundly collaborative and at the same time divisive as the United States without democracy. You cannot hold a nation together. You cannot hold 50 states together without democracy. It cannot happen. It cannot happen. It is impossible. I know from my work in the classroom, I know from my attendance at the Democratic National Convention in 2004 in Boston, where I watched high-level leaders at a national political convention talk and argue and yell, and I saw protests, and I saw people scream, and I saw people lay down and yell. I saw First Amendment zones in fences that protesters ripped down and spit on in the United States. And it was both a joy and humbling, because free speech is essential. It's essential to have a safety valve for people to speak out. It's essential for people to understand opposing positions. So you have to have democracy first before you have any sense of national security, in my mind. That's been my experience.
Yes.
You have to have it. It's impossible. People need food, they need water, they need shelter, they need the right to peaceably assemble, they need the right to free expression, they need a free press to describe what's going on in their world. They need the right to practice their religion and to be tolerant of separate ideas, but they sure as heck deserve the right to individual liberties and balance those against other people's liberties and security.
I want to, it's the last question, I want to know your opinion about prediction about, you know that next year Azerbaijan going to hold president's election.
In 2013, it's my understanding in 2015 they have parliamentary elections. Parliament in 2015?
Yes, 15 parliamentary,
but
but next year
is presidential.
Yes, presidential. What do you think U.S. media or world media will increase their attention to Azerbaijan or not?
Yes. Yes. The president is the executive branch. The parliament is the legislative branch of your secular government. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. I think there will be a lot of attention paid to Azerbaijan, to all the surrounding region, and who are the leaders within the states, if you will, the leadership branches of this government. Absolutely. I hope there's a tremendous amount of media attention provided all around, because I think that transparency allows for honesty and it allows for accountability. I would hope that the media attention is absolutely fair and absolutely balanced. They'll make mistakes. The media makes mistakes just like government makes mistakes, like corporate leaders makes mistakes, like everybody makes mistakes. But only through a level of understanding of talking about current events, of speaking about current events, about publishing what the truth is about those current events, are we ever going to have a better way to make decisions and go forward responsibly.
Thank you very much for your great interview.
Well, thank you very much for your time.